This review has been made possible by Toyota of Naperville. As you know, Toyota has tons of brand new Toyotas available for purchase. But did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to toyotaofnaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2018 BMW 330i XDrive. Up front is a 2.0 liter turbocharged inline 4, and down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. This video is sponsored by CarMarshal.com. If you'd like to support the channel, click the link down in the description below. CarMarshal.com advertises for over 100,000 vehicles across the US. But let's get back to that 2.0 liter turbo found under the hood. Well, it sort of slips away from BMW's normal sort of bread and butter. Almost every single modern BMW that I've reviewed has been a 3.0 liter turbocharged straight six. That's just what BMW is good at. And so here in the 330i, we don't have that straight six. We just have a little 4-cylinder. So let's see how it performs. All right, so like I mentioned, that 2-liter turbo, we are on the test track. Let's put it up into Sport Plus. Now this does turn off traction control, and it is a little bit rainy today, so we might have some traction issues, but everything seems to be up to temperature, and here we go. Not the best. You definitely missed that down-low torque of the 6-cylinder. I mean, the 6-cylinder really pulls you out of your seat right from the get-go, and that's because it has 2 extra cylinders helping out from day one. With the 2-liter turbo, I'm not saying it's slow, but there's definitely missing low-end torque. And so when I pulled off the line, it felt like a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder until that turbo spooled in, probably around 4,000 to 5,000 RPM. It's really just meant for passing. When you're cruising like I am right now, I'm doing 17 miles an hour, it doesn't need the turbo, it doesn't use it, it doesn't spool it up, and so this is a fuel-efficient 4-cylinder. But once I needed to pass someone on the highway, I'm able to do so once the turbo spools up, and that's obviously when you're flooring it. So would I prefer the 6-cylinder turbo? Yes, of course, because you do get that right from the jump power. But that being said, this isn't obviously the worst thing in the world. I'm okay with it. You know, 99% of people in the world aren't into racing cars or, you know, being the fastest out there, and so this will be perfectly fine for them. They're going to save a little bit at the pump. But personally, I would opt for the 6-cylinder. Like I said, paired to it is an automatic transmission. Nothing really too crazy here. It's, you know, it is what it is. It's a smooth transmission for sure, but it's not super sporty. It's not, you know, anything crazy. I do have paddle shifters, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the steering wheel. And last but not least, this is the XDrive, so that means it is all-wheel drive. But let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I do have 4 physical gauges, which I really, really like. I've always liked BMW gauges. On the far left is my fuel, then I have my speed, on the right is my tachometer, and then my coolant temperature. In the center, I do get a little screen just displaying the outside temperature, my range till empty, and then I do have up top actually 2 lanes that is telling me my lane departure warning and lane keep assist features are activated. On the steering wheel on the right, I do have my mode, volume, and phone controls, and on the left I have my cruise control options, and then like I said, I do have those paddle shifters right behind the steering wheel. Now up top, I do have a heads-up display. I'm a big fan of BMW heads-up displays. I think honestly they have really, really nailed it. They're very simple, very easy to read. Right now, it's just giving me my current speed as well as the speed limit on the road which I'm on, which is super handy. That's all I really need for a non-sporty type car. To the left, I do have my headlight switches as well as my fog light switches. One cool thing about the headlights while we are talking about it is when you unlock the car, even from a distance, the headlights look really cool. They sort of do this like awakening effect, and I think that that's really, really cool. And that would just make me smile walking up to this thing. I really like that. Then down below that, we do have our lane keep assist and lane departure warning toggle buttons, so we can turn those on and off. But as I toggle it on and off, it says that the system is only available at 40 miles an hour or higher, which is interesting. Of course, when you're on the highway, you're of course going to be doing more than 40, but as I hit those buttons, the center screen is now prompting me if I'd like to toggle on and off pedestrian safety and front collision safety. So I'm going to leave those on, of course. Then on the door, I do have my window switches, mirror switches, and an interesting button, rear spoiler button. So I actually have a button on the door, which is a weird place to put it. Normally it's on the center console. I can toggle that, hold it, and the rear wing actually goes up. I did not realize that this car has active aero. That is so, so cool. I thought this was a tailgate button, but it's actually for the active aero. That is pretty hunkin' sweet. Then we get to the center. We do have the BMW infotainment center. I'm pretty used to it at this point, and honestly, I think it is a really good infotainment system. It is really easy to navigate, and we'll talk about how we navigate that in a little bit once we get down to the center joystick. But it's very clear, very easy to read. I can get my, phone, navigation, vehicle settings, everything I want, I can get in that center screen, and I really, really like that. Then down below the center screen, I do have 2 air conditioning and heating vents. That is where my central locking button is as well. That is how you lock and unlock the car. BMW's always done this, and I really like that. Then I have a CD player as well as my presets, volume, AM, FM, all that stuff. And then I have my heating and air conditioning controls. I do have heated seats, 3 different levels of heated seats, both front passengers get that. And of course, dual climate zones, pretty much anything you would want in a modern climate control area you can get here. Then I have 2 cup holders that kind of hide away, which I really like. And then we come to the shifter. There are a couple interesting buttons along with the shifter. To the left, I have my traction control off. Then I have my sport and eco buttons. So there's sport plus, comfort, and eco pro. So we'll of course leave it in eco pro, but as you saw, we did that pull in sport plus. Now let's talk about the actual shifter. You guys probably know I'm not a big fan of BMW's shifters. I think that they're a little bit gimmicky. I'm not quite comfortable with them, and I've driven a lot of vehicles with this same shifter, and I still am not used to it, and I still don't like it. Today, I was trying to get better, and I actually thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to shift it like a normal car, put my hand over it, but then, I feel like my finger's going to knock the park button, so I end up reaching around to shift, and it's like, I feel like I'm going to get carpal tunnel doing that. I don't know. It's too weird for me. Maybe I'll never get over it. But to the right, I do have my joystick for that center screen like we were talking about. I really like it. I think it has good feedback, and I can sort of tell what I'm doing without looking away from the road, which is very important to me. That's really what I look for in a center joystick. And so, when you turn the knob, it clicks each time. So, that's 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns. It's stuff like that, and you can move it up and down. It's a really solid feeling joystick, and I really like that. Now let's talk about the seats. The seats, they're not my favorite, and the reason for that is the bolsters on the sides are a little bit tight. If you are smaller than me, which most people are, you will have a fine time sitting in this, but the bolsters are just a little bit too tight for me. And yes, you can adjust the bolsters, but I am maxed out, and even with it maxed out, it's still a little bit tight for me. But that being said, the seats are nice. They are leather. They're not perforated leather. They're just standard leather. I do have 2 memory seat options. Like I mentioned, they're power, they're heated. They've got all the bells and whistles that you'd really want out of a modern seat. But speaking of seats, let's do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2018 BMW 330i XDrive, and honestly, legroom great. Headroom pretty good. The only issue is that these back seats sort of suffer the same issue that the 2016 4 Series that I drove suffered, which is these back seats sort of curve once they get towards the door, and so I feel like I have to sit slightly at an angle, which is just ever so slightly uncomfortable. This is not nearly as extreme as that 4 Series, so I'm not that mad about it. I mean, honestly, I could sit straight fine. It's just like I feel like just ever so slightly cocked to the right. But that being said, really nice back seats. We do have a center console. I don't know if the camera can see this, but the little clamshell opening cup holders, and then we do have another secret compartment back here that could probably hold a couple of toothpicks, and that's about it. I do have some lights up here, some nice LED lights. Overall, not a bad back seat. There is a nice cargo cover because this actually is basically a hatchback. I'll show it here. It's a hatchback. I mean, like, the back end opens, and it offers a lot of cargo space, which I really, really like. You know what? Let's just hop back there for a second. So I'm really hoping that the wind doesn't mess this up. But here on the key fob, just hold that, pop open the trunk. And this is the trunk. This is the hatch. Obviously, this is what I was mentioning in the back seat. You have this nice cargo cover, some nets down at the side. These are the floor mats from the car, obviously, because it's a used car. But I do have these nice sliding rails, which I really like. Like I mentioned, that bag. This is so you can get out if you're trapped back here. Oh, okay. So that does that. And that, I assume, yep. So you can actually fold down the seats as well. I mean, look at how much they can take this out. Look at how much room that is. I mean, the rear seats go down. I mean, this is essentially an SUV at this point, which is really, really nice. I really like this part. I didn't realize those seats actually go down like that, and you can remove this cargo cover. That's a lot of space. That's pretty good. Now, last but not least about the interior is I do have a very nice sunroof, which we will not open because it's a little bit rainy this morning. But overall, I do like the interior. I think it is pretty classy. It stays pretty consistent with other BMW models. I'm not disappointed. I'm not blown away. Overall, I think it is a nice interior, and it definitely holds up well. Now let's talk about the looks. I really like the front end of this car. It's very BMW, very typical BMW, but once we start working towards the back, I don't know if I'm 100% sold. It sort of looks a little bit like a hunchback. I don't like the GT badge that they put on the back. I think that looks really, really tacky. I think BMW really messed up with that one. It looks like an AutoZone sort of Klingon, and I really don't like that. But the overall look of the car, I don't mind it. The silver color is a little bit bland, sure. Silver car, black interior, it's not going to win, any eye-popping contests. It is what it is. Overall, I have to say that this is just another good car from BMW. I say it in almost all my BMW reviews. BMW is one of the few manufacturers that has never, ever disappointed me. I think that they've always, always, always made quality vehicles that I think are stylish, that I like, and the trend really continues here. This is a good daily driver. This is a good car. I don't think I'd need much more than this. No, it's not super sporty. It's not the fastest thing in the world, and I'm not gonna, blow the doors off of a GTR with this thing. But what I will have if I were to buy this would be a nice, comfortable daily driver that's relatively capable. It has that all-wheel drive. It gets good gas mileage. It's not the coolest thing in the world, but it's not the dullest thing in the world. And so I have to say it's pretty middle of the road. But we need middle-of-the-road cars. We just do, because, not everybody wants to be exotic and eccentric when they drive. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned something about the 2018 BMW 330i XDrive. Huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for allowing me to film their used BMW. They have tons and tons of cars on the lot. They've cycled through a bunch of different BMWs in the past. I've driven a bunch from them here on the channel. So if you're interested in BMWs, still take a look at Toyota's used section. They've always got a few floating around. I think they have 3 or 4 on the lot literally right now. Or if you're into any other used cars, still go check out Toyota of Naperville. Their information is up on the screen as well as in the description. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight.